Chapter 2. How You Think. Get over old habits and taste something new. Let me take you back to a moment in time, some years ago, during a wine tasting event. It started simply when she said to me, "I only drink whites. I am only here because my husband loves reds, especially Zinfandel." Because I knew that if she was not enjoying herself, they would not get the full benefit of the event. I asked, "How about we make sure this barrel tasting is an enjoyable experience for you?" The conversation went on like this. "That would be great," she said with a hopeful smile. "Tell me what you most like about white wine," I asked first. "I like the aromas and the fruit taste of Chardonnay." When she answered, I noticed she looked up and to the left. Her voice took on a full quality, and she spoke faster. I then asked what she most enjoyed about the winery tour the most. She explained how she loved seeing the crusher, the explanations of how the enzymes and microbes work together, and the yeast that we add based on chemical analysis. She also mentioned that she enjoys cooking and appreciated my explaining the process of what happens from the time the grape is picked to its becoming wine that is put in the barrel. During this whole process, every time I looked at her while I was talking, I would raise my right hand above my head as an invitation for her to look up and to her left. I spoke in the cadence she spoke in, each time she acknowledged something pleasant. The groundwork was laid. We started the barrel tasting. I jokingly asked her if she was sure she was enjoying our time together so far. She again looked up and to her left as she, with a smile back, confirmed that she was very much enjoying our time together and did so in a rapid speech cadence after again looking up to her left. As I offered her a sample of the 100% Zinfandel, I asked permission to guide her glass with my hand on hers over to the opening in the barrel. After guiding her hand and pouring wine into her glass, I suggested that she first smell the wine in the glass and concentrate on detecting fruit flavors like she does when enjoying her favorite white wine. I also suggested to her that she might think this a little weird. We have found that it helps many people to detect the aromas of wine if they look up and to their left as they are smelling and tasting the wine. She said she was used to the aroma of citrus fruit with whites, but this smelled like cherry. So I asked, "Do you like the smell of cherry?" Without encouragement, she looked up into her left and said, "Yes, it reminds me of when I was a child on Grandma's farm." I suggested that, as she took a little sip of the wine, that she again look up to her left, and this time fondly remember her grandma and the farm. "Wow," she said, "I really taste the fruit. I am used to citrus, but I can really taste cherry, plum, and blackberry. This is fun." We moved to another barrel. The same wine, different barrel. This time I spoke slowly, in lower tonality, and touched her opposite hand when she approached the barrel with her glass. I suggested that before she smelled and tasted this wine that she look down at her glass and remember a time when she tasted a white wine that she did not like. She followed my suggestion, took a sip, and made a face. She looked at me in puzzlement and said, "I don't like this at all. This is starting to not be fun." Remember I asked you earlier if it was okay to make this barrel tasting fun? What if we could make your tasting the wine you just tasted and did not like enjoyable and fun? Now she really looked puzzled, but did say yes. As she approached the barrel, I raised my right arm up as I spoke faster and guided her hand holding the glass to the barrel opening. As she was about to sample the wine, I asked her to, again, look up into the left and remember a great time being on Grandma's farm. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, "this is amazing. Are you an alchemist? What did you do?" No, I did not change the wine or miraculously become an alchemist. What I did do was let her experience the wine with a new mindset. This is how it works. I quickly established a positive anchor, a positive trigger, that overrode a negative and then blended a negative memory with a stronger, pleasant experience. Thinking back, Do you recall how every time I directed my talking to you, I spoke a little faster, a little more animated, and raised my right arm above my head? I paced or mirrored your positive state. Then when we got to the actual barrel tasting, I touched your hand, and only touched your hand when I was a little more animated and we were talking about appreciating Zinfandel. These actions created positive association, triggers. The test came when I asked you to look down, as I touched your opposite hand and spoke slower and in a lower voice. I thanked her for participating in that fun learning experience as I explained that I was not an alchemist, but that she had just learned what I demonstrated on KTLA TV in Los Angeles called the Fast Phobia Cure. And to the delight of her husband, she said, I will no longer automatically turn down an offer to sample red wine. As she left, I listened as she turned to her husband and said, I look forward to experiment with other red wine that you enjoy, as well as learn with you about the pairing of wines with various dishes. Because of that brief experience, she is now eager to experiment with other thoughts, feelings, and behavior that prior to that they were totally avoided. Whatever the experience, from loving white wine to enjoying red wine to having fantastic sex. It is all a process that starts with a way of thinking. It's how you think. It's all in the way you put it in. Back and forth, back and forth. In and out. In and out. A little to the right, a little to the left. She could feel the sweat on her forehead, between her breasts, and trickling down the small of her back. She was getting near to the end. He was in ecstasy, with a broadening, huge smile on his face as his wife moved. Forwards, then backwards. Forward, then backward. Again. And again. Her heart was noticeably pounding now, as was his. Her face was flushed. She moaned, softly at first, then began to groan louder. He was in ecstasy. Finally. Totally exhausted. She let out a piercing scream. Okay, okay, you smug bastard. I can't parallel park this new car. You do it. Not what you thought it was about, was it? Did this story take you to another place? A place different than a person challenged with parallel parking? It does most people, and I can explain why and how this lays the groundwork for gaining the right mindset and thought process that will get you where you want to be.